Today will be kind of just open because I went over the 60 last night before we got here, and I hope you guys have questions. And then Preston said he couldn't make it today. He has a water leak.
Oh.
No fun.
Bummer.
Yes, I'd rather be here.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's no fun.
Okay, so last time we talked about the 30-day goals, which is attend Ignite, which have all of you attended Ignite yet? Okay, you really should. Yeah, even I need to go too. Tia went, our buyer's agent, she loved it. But what it does is kind of go over all of the KW products that we have free, you know, on our back door. So you should really use it. She learned quite a bit and then came back to the office and shared it with us. I'd like to take the one that's going to happen in Canyon.
Yeah.
I think it's this, is it the end of this month it's going to start?
I heard sometime in July.
Sometime in July, okay. I had the schedule yesterday, but they said it wasn't, or last week.
Last I heard, they didn't have anything finalized.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. So it's really good, so you guys should start that. Did anybody work on their the gross income calculator? The career growth initiative? To me, it's gross income because that's all I think about. Did anybody do that the last time?
I've already had it done.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So-
was in here last week, so
Yeah.
I'm familiar.
Okay, so on the 30 days, and I'll give you guys a copy of these. So it's in your back door of your Keller site, and it's really cool. We'll probably do just one single class on it, so that everybody could bring their own computers, and then you could do your goals while we're doing it on the computer. But what you do is just kind of put in what goals you have. So let's say you wanted to make $100,000 a year. You'll just start putting in all of you start with what you want to make, and then it asks you what like if you have rent, what your monthly fees, what you're going to pay back to the company. And then what it tells you is, okay, you have to have 16 listings. I think mine came out to, you had to have 17 listings and 4 or 5 buyers. Or 50-50, however you like to work. Some people prefer to work with buyers. Megan loves buyers. And I like to work with sellers because I just like houses and construction and that kind of thing. And I think buyers are more relationship based, where they like that one-on-one all the time. So I like them both, but I really like selling houses or listing houses. So what that does is it keeps you on track to say, okay, if I want to make $100,000 a year, this is what I have to do. And we were talking about the cycle of real estate, which is usually slower in November, December, January. First quarter is usually the slowest. But people get into holiday mode, you know, in November, and I'm as guilty. I love the holidays.
Yeah.
So starting, you know, right around Thanksgiving, it kind of just goes down, and then it cycles through till January or February. Because statistically, it's going to take you 30 to 45 days to close. So if you're not closing anything, if you're not getting anything under contract in November, then you're not going to have anything that's going to close in December or January. So really, you should be working harder in your fourth quarter than any quarter, trying to get people to list or to buy. And what I always hear as an excuse is, oh, it's the holidays, nobody buys a house during the holidays. That's not true. I mean, we closed, I think it was 18 deals last December, and I think we had 5 or 6 go into January.
I don't see how that's a problem around here with all the military anyways. They're always moving in and out.
Yeah. And it's all a mindset, really. Even when the market was horrible, people would say, how's the market? And I'd say it's terrific, because it just depends on what side of the market you're on. If you're an investor in a buyer's market, that's great for an investor, and it's great for buyers, even though it was hard to get loans. And so I think when you're talking to people, that's what you want to say. You know, for a buyer, you don't want to say, oh, it's a seller's market, it's terrible. You want to say, you know, it's a great time to buy, interest rates are low. You know, we're a little short on inventory, but it's still a plus. I mean, with rates as low as they are, they say in our lifetime they'll never be that low again. So I hope they're not, because I never want to go through a recession like that again. So It basically just is goal setting, and then you should always revisit that. So what I was telling them is that we revisit ours every week. So my staff has a meeting, and we go through all of our new listings, all of our buyers, and then what we need and what we want. So like if I have a buyer that needs a 3-bedroom, 2-bath on the golf course, the girls know what we're looking for, and then that way if we see it, somebody else lists it, or we have a seller who's gonna do it, we just communicate that to each other. And networking, you guys have such a great office. I mean, you have a lot of people coming in and out. That's a great way to, if you have a buyer or a seller, to get information. I know Lorraine uses it really well. She asks a lot of questions, so that's perfect. And you should always ask a lot of questions. I think new agents feel self-conscious to ask new questions because they think the new agent thinks they should already know it. There is no way to know everything in this business. I ask questions every day.
Where do you find this gross calculator?
It's, if you go to your,
I don't know what I have set up at this point. These are the only apps I have at this point.
go to my KW.
See, I haven't figured out how to set that up yet.
Okay. And then, so do the girls not set that up for you?
I have it, but I can't get into it. I don't know what my email is, or my password is, or my login, or, like, it gave me a login code, but it doesn't ask, like, I tried typing it in the password, I've tried typing it in the username, but that doesn't give me a spot to type in this code that they gave me.
Yeah, yours doesn't look like mine.
So, and I downloaded the app, but there again, like I said, like, it doesn't give me a place to type in this, like, it's like an 8-digit code or a 6-digit code.
So this app is gonna be what you send to your buyers,
Okay.
because you can just hit share the app, and then when you text it to them, it has all your contact information
Okay.
on it. So that's a little different thing.
Oh, okay, that's not the same
Yep,
thing then.
we're gonna
Okay.
get you set up though.
Okay.
Before you leave today, we need to take you downstairs and make sure they
Okay.
get you on, because that's where all
I mean,
your-
I've got a ton of emails in my inbox too, and I'm like, I haven't had time, or I've just,
So what would help you? So so as a new agent, how could we help you?
honestly, I just feel like I have to I almost felt like I've had to figure this out on my own, like,
Okay.
my cousin.
Ignite will help you.
Yeah, and I, like I
Okay,
said,
just so
I
you
missed
know.
Ignite the last time because I was in the middle of my classes,
Sure.
and then I'm just
I
waiting
think I'm in
now.
the same boat, so
Okay.
I think if we just had somebody available and said, okay, here's KW, you know, like me, it says that my profile is 76% complete. And I
Right.
was like, okay, I don't know, I put in my bio, I just got my pictures yesterday, so I have to upload that. But just kind of walking through and say, okay, what do I do here, what has
So-
to be done?
Well, Scott
And
Memorial
then
also
my
help you.
cousin is doing this, and they have a, I can't remember what she called it, but they've got a specific person in their agency that helps them get everything set up and kind of walks them through and makes sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. But it sounds like we don't have that anymore here in this office.
Well, it's right here in the room. So that's the calculator.
Oh, okay.
And I'm learning how to use it too. So we're all in the same pain together. But we want to improve. I mean, our goal, mine and I would say Tony's and the ACL is, you know, we want you to feel like you have some guidance and you know. So I know Courtney did do some one-on-one training with new agents, and we really want to get you guys into Ignite. And
Okay, yeah, and that's what it was called. It was a productivity coach that I guess we don't have anymore. That my cousin's like, you need a productivity coach.
we
And
are
I'm
getting
like,
one.
"Oh,
We're
okay."
actually, Tony's working on that right now, so that's gonna be a good thing. So, and I think part of it is just we're kind of going through some growing pains. We got a lot of agents on right away, and you're in a great group, so you're in the right, but we need to improve. So I'll talk to Tony. We're actually meeting next week to go over some of these things, when he gets back. So I'll bring it up. And I know Brandon's a huge help too. And that's
I
what
think he's a little busy though,
He is
because I've had a really, like, recently I've had a hard time reaching him, or
Yeah.
like, he's got my old email, and then things get lost in my email, so.
It's easy
Like,
to
I didn't
change.
realize he,
Yeah.
he had texted me back on a question, I didn't even realize he had texted, or emailed me back on a question, because it got lost in my email, so.
Okay, so one of those two, you could just call the front office and say, hey, you make sure that Brandon has my new email address. Yeah, so just be kind of proactive, because he is busy. He took
Right.
on a leadership role that he wasn't expecting, and
Right.
he already has a successful business.
Right.
So he's kind of doing what I'm doing right now. And it's one of the reasons I wanted to teach this class, or it's not even really I don't know if it's teaching, you guys are probably learning a little something, but it's because I want to be able to help you guys be successful agents. And I haven't been where you're at for 20 years, but I have the skills and the mindset that I know I could make every single one of you a success if you just do what I ask you to do. And part of it, and to make sure that we train you correctly. So what I always tell the girls, nobody trained me. I came into this business in a company that had 3 people. Nobody showed us anything, so I took a
So-
ton of continuing education classes.
Your daughter is, what, 18 or 19?
My daughter is 27.
So, okay, so you were doing this when, did you
My s-
already work when you had your daughter, or?
Oh, yeah, I've
Okay,
worked my
so
whole
my
life.
biggest thing is, I've been a stay-at-home mom, well, I've been a stay-at-home mom and a wife, because
Right.
I wasn't working when my husband and I first got together, because he was overseas. And so I've been literally at home for 12 years, and I've only held regular everyday, like I worked at Albertsons kind of jobs.
Yeah.
So I've never had to be a mom and hold a job. I have no idea how to do that.
Right.
So that's one of my biggest things, is it's so overwhelming, like managing cheerleading and karate and cooking and then doing this all at the same time. I have no idea how to do all of that.
So that leads us into that time block. It's huge, 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 huge. So I've never missed one of my kids' basketball games, maybe an event or two at school, because my sweet son would tell me the day it would happen. It's happening at 3 o'clock today, and I'm like, okay, way to prepare, son. So when I had a basketball game with my kids, it was an appointment period, because really, what good is this business if you don't have a family? Like, to me, there's no reason to work if I'm not working for them. So everything is scheduled, and they'll tell you that. It's crazy, because they all know if they just put it in the schedule, I'll be there. Because then nobody else can come in and say, I need to see this house at 5 o'clock, because what you tell your buyer or your seller is, I'm sorry, I already have an appointment at 5 o'clock, but I can see you at 7, or I can see you tomorrow morning at 8. And if you do the time blocking and really manage your time, and that's what T and I have been working on too, is every morning she has a schedule. So she comes in, we read 10 pages of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and then after that she calls all of her buyers that she's working with that are active, and so she's got maybe 10 or 12 people that she's calling first thing every morning. And then she's doing any contracts or anything that needs to be cleaned up. And then by noon, really, she should be free to see anybody that she needs. So if something changes that routine, then what you have to say is, okay, I'm gonna show houses this morning, but at 12 o'clock. Because her goal is to be done about 3 or 3:30 every day to go get her kids. And some of it is,
So see, and I'm still homeschooling too, so I've got a full-time job. Well,
Yeah.
not right now because it's summertime, but I'm gonna have a full-time job
Mhm.
next year too.
yeah. So it's just gonna be, or weekends, and I'm not gonna tell you it's easy. I work like a dog. I mean, right now I probably work, 60 or 70 hours a week, easy. 7 to 8 or 9 or 10. It depends if you consider being on the computer at night at home.
Well,
But-
she's an agent and she homeschools, maybe you can talk with her and see how she juggles it all.
Who is
she's
that?
got
Who is?
How many kids?
Olivia, like 5, and she homeschools when she does this
Yeah.
business.
Yeah,
Oh,
And,
that's great.
Yeah.
yeah, so she's.
Jessica would be a good person to know too.
And Jessica, yeah, how she juggles it all, 5,
Mhm.
no, 4 kids, 5,
And
5
pregnant.
on the way?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's right.
handful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe you guys could get just like a little networking group going
Yeah.
and seeing how you could help each other.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Would it be possible, I know for me, I think about like maybe shadowing somebody just to kind of hear, how do they speak to a buyer, how do they reach out, how do they communicate? Just kind of the ins and outs that
Yes.
as a new agent, that I just don't have any.
Right, you don't have any skills yet.
Right, right.
So we do shadow, so, my new agents all shadow me for, Tia still shadows me, and sometimes Megan does too. She just listens to what I'm talking about, especially if it's a new situation that she hasn't come across. So I do recommend you shadow, ask some of the leaders. I mean, the elite team, the Kita team, Kim Nakaguma, Kevin Cooter, if you could keep up with him.
Yeah.
Brandon's amazing. I mean, you have a lot of great agents in the business. And just ask them, would you mind if I shadow you, even if it's for a couple of hours a day? And sometimes they'll have great things. So when I take Tia out on a listing appointment, I say, this is my new buyer's agent, Tia, and she's just here to kind of listen how I work with sellers and get a feel for how I communicate with people. And they're fine. She doesn't say anything. She just sits there. She's very social, so she smiles and laughs, which helps because so then when she does need to show somebody, like my buyers love Tia too. They're like, oh great, Tia's gonna show us, because sometimes I can't show people on a short notice. But you should ask, and I'll bet they'll say yes. I think most agents are just afraid to ask. And don't say, can I just shadow you? Say, could I shadow you
And help.
Thursday between 8 and noon, or have it a time, because what scares me is when people say, can I shadow you? And I'm thinking, okay, what day will it be? Because if it's kind of a chaotic day, that's probably not, like where I'm just going from appointment to appointment, that's probably not the best time to shadow me, because I won't be able to train you. And then try and go in the car with them. Because in the car is where you can really go back and forth and say, okay, this is why I did this is how, so Tia comes with me and I tell her, okay, here's what we're going on, this is a listing appointment, we're competing against 2 or 3 other agents. So we're gonna, walk their house, get all the details, write everything down, and then we're gonna do our marketing presentation, and then we're gonna leave. And then when we leave, I kind of go over the things that happened in the meeting that I think were a highlight.
I think that would be perfect and very helpful.
Yeah, so I think just reach out to those agents and say, would it be possible to maybe follow you Thursday between 8 and 10 or 8 and noon? And I'm sure that they'll be open to it. I don't know why they wouldn't be. It's just, you get a little nervous because we know you're looking to us for help, and you're just thinking, okay, don't screw up. But when you screw up, you just gotta laugh it off, because everybody makes mistakes.
I would never know.
Yeah. We'll just fake it. She thinks we're great. Yeah. So, and then we'll work on that, somebody, productivity coach trying to get you guys,
It's just really overwhelming getting started.
It
It's
is.
just, you wanna cry all the time.
Oh, I still quit. Have you heard this? I quit my job every month, so my family's used to it. My husband used to be like, it's okay, babe. If you want to quit, it's fine. And now he knows, wait 24 hours, I'll be back at work. Make me a stiff drink, it'll all be good. So this business is going to be, it's never going to not be stressful. It's just the nature of the beast.
And I don't mind the stress, it's just the not knowing, I think that
Right,
is
because you're learning.
the killer.
I'm learning every day. So I didn't get to this level until I was till I felt really comfortable, probably 5 or 6 years. The one thing that, I think we've hired 31 new agents in less than a year, and there's 5 of you here. So what that tells me is that the other ones really don't have a passion to be in this business, because if you did, you would be here every morning. Most top agents, for us in the association to get a panel like me, Gary Miller, Pat McAvoy, all the high-enders, Glenn Knutson, all of those guys are huge producers, and they have been for several years. To get them to come and do one thing for us at the association is a huge ordeal. And you guys get me every Friday. I told Tony, I cannot believe we don't have people not showing up. I do $33 million in production, and I'm the #1 agent in our association, and they can't get out of bed at 8 o'clock.
Right.
So, so at least I know who's going to be our new leaders in 10 or so years, because you guys are going to be you're going to learn, and that's the key, is learning. Anytime you think you're done learning in this business, you probably should retire, because I learn something new every day. It's just amazing, and you think you know it, and you're just like, wow, that never had that come up before. Who do I call? So, and always call your resources. I know Kristen Gadd's great about answering those questions on Facebook. I don't know how she watches her phone all the time because I know she's super busy, and I'll get on there at night and I'm like, she answered 10 questions today. When did she have time to do that? So ask, because they're all here to help you. I mean, I know Brandon and Trisha and Luke and Kim, everybody wants to help you succeed, especially, you know, and Tony and I as well. And if you call and leave me a message, I'll always call you back. It's just not going to be, it could be in 10 minutes and it could be at the end of the night when I'm trying to finish all my phone calls. Just depends on the day. But we need to get you in the back door. And then what I've been doing, because I haven't had time to take the classes at night and on the weekends, I watch the videos, the YouTube videos, which
And
really help walk
I
you
think
through it.
somebody showed me once how to get into that, and I've already forgotten, because.
You go to YouTube and Google it, because I'm telling you, I can't get into anything. I am not tech savvy at all. That's why I have an assistant. But if I can go on YouTube and say Keller Williams E-Edge and I get 15 videos, what I was doing is I would have one computer running and I was doing it on my big computer. So you can do that. And some of it too is get out of town. Like, go listen to agents in Springs, go listen to agents in Denver, because really I'm a small fish. 33 million is nothing when you get out there in the big world. I mean, there's people closing 211 million a year. And, you know, I'm like a drop in the bucket, and they have big teams and big organizations. So get out, because they handle things differently. Like in Denver, they're used to closing together, the buyer and the seller. We never close together here. I think it's a conflict of interest and some privacy acts. I don't want my people in there when they're trying to close their loan, and if they have a question on their loan, I don't think it's any of our business. I don't want to know their financial stuff. So, but everywhere you go, people do things differently. So get out, go to classes, try and do as much as you can. When the association has things, we bring people in. Nobody teaches class in town. Like, none of our instructors are local. We bring them in. We fly them in. I mean, they come down from Denver and I think Pagosa. I mean, we have them coming from all over the state. And what's nice is it's different, so they teach you differently. So try and go to all those that you can. The first year I was an agent, I was probably in school more than I was selling, because I was just trying to learn, just like what you guys are doing. And I had no help. I had zilch. It was, here's your license, start selling real estate. You know, so the good thing is our employee broker was very nice, so if I ever had questions, he would answer them, and he wasn't extremely busy. But there was a lot of things that I probably wasn't doing right in the beginning. And I didn't know until I went to another class, and I'm like, oh, that's what that means.
And that's what I don't wanna do, is I don't wanna make mistakes. Like, I know
You're
it's
gonna
gonna
make
probably happen, but
Yep, it's gonna happen.
if there's anything I can learn where I can restrict that from happening as little as possible.
That's what we want you to do,
That's
but just
what-
know everybody makes mistakes. I mean, you'll miss a deadline, you'll put in the wrong thing, and hopefully you're just working with an agent that says, hey, you know, your acceptance deadline is after we close. I mean, I've done that because that stupid CTME goes to the next month, but even though I really like that product, but that's kind of, it's just gonna happen. You're new and things will happen, but when you get an offer, just know it's gonna take you 4 hours to write your first offer. It takes me about 10 minutes.
Well, I'm
because-
doing one for myself, and I haven't even gotten it half done, so.
Right, and I'm gonna do still that mock one for you guys. I'm thinking in the fall it might slow down a little bit, and I'll have a little more time to do that. And when I do that, it'll be a layman's, because I'm gonna use it in teaching my new agents too, the ones that come onto our team. So it'll be good. But class. I still take contracts classes. Whenever they have a contracts class, I'm here. In fact, I'll probably come and take Tony's just to see what he teaches, because every instructor has a part of it that they're gonna love. So Margie's teaching it one day, I would take that one, and then Tony's teaching it the next week, I'd take that one, because you watch, you're gonna learn something different from both of them. Yeah, so, I mean, I always take contracts classes. You can never learn enough on contracts. I didn't bring my glasses. So then they do those CGI calls at noon on Mondays. Isn't it noon to 1 is what Mariah said? And we can get you a schedule for those. And I know and that's why you need to be in Keller Williams, because they have the calendar in there. and you could see what's being done that day. And then what I've asked them to do on the classes is write a small description, so we know what the class is about. And then creating a system for lead follow-up. Has anybody started that? Lorraine? I wanted a yes, because you were here last week.
What was it?
So creating a follow-up system. So eEdge is our CRM basically, and it's free. It's a free CRM, which is contact management. Because when you're new, you think you're gonna remember every person you've talked to. You won't. As soon as you get busy, and those people in 5 to 7 years are gonna be your repeat clients. So you wanna make sure that you start your database right away. Even with your sphere of influence, send them out Christmas cards, invite them to events, things like that, because we'll have client appreciation events. You should get them on your newsletter, things like that, just to start reaching out to them. But if you start that early in your career and you make it a habit, it will be so much easier when you're really busy, because it'll be natural. This is what we do for everybody. And we're the same way. We have systems. Somebody calls on the phone, you know, we get the address, we pull the county assessor, we make their file, we ask them to do a pre-listing consultation. There's just a lot of things that we do way before I ever get to the appointment, and everybody's treated the same. So there should never be a fluctuation in that. So you want to start that right away. And the Ignite, that's why I want to take Ignite, because they have a full class on that. So I'm really excited. Let's see here. Hold 3 to 5 open houses for other associates. So, and then door knock. So who's done that?
I haven't got any of my information yet,
Good.
so.
Okay, that's awesome.
Open houses, I have not done any open houses,
Yeah,
so I need to do some.
you should.
Yeah.
You know, it's great experience to teach you how to communicate to people on the fly, because you just don't know who's gonna walk in the door. And it's,
Silly.
yeah, so it really teaches you that when that comes up in another conversation, how to calm your nerves and be natural. I mean, just be yourself, that's the key. But we all get nervous. I get nervous up here. I was the president of our association, and I'd have to talk in front of the whole group. I couldn't eat in the mornings because I'm so nervous to talk to people. So small groups I do much better in, but when I would get up there, I couldn't even look at people. I was so nervous, and I couldn't eat in the morning because I would get sick if I did. Because it's scary to talk to new people, and when they're all looking at you. So when you have an open house, it teaches you to say, oh, welcome, come on in. Don't follow them around real closely. I don't. I say, the master's on this side, the extra bedrooms are here, we have a full entertainment room downstairs. And then what I do is kind of let them walk around on their own, and then I'll go down and follow them. You know, then I'll go down and say, hey, do you have any questions about our theater room or something like that? Just because even sometimes I'm telling them, oh, it's a tile floor, and I'm thinking, they could see it's probably a tile floor. But what I'm trying to do is build value when I say things like that. So we know tile, hardwood, granite, they all build value in a property. And so sometimes when I mention that, what I'm hoping they'll do is when they go to the next open house, they'll realize that one has linoleum, it has formica, you know, they're not the same level, and so it's worth the price. So that's the reason I do a lot of those. And then just coaching, I think when you do open houses, it's easier to guide your buyer or guide your seller to have the house ready for buyers. So when you're in it, you might say, well, some of the feedback was, you know, the dogs barked the whole hour they were here, or because then they know maybe for showings you should take your dogs away, because nobody wants to have, I mean, when dogs bark at you the entire time, everybody leaves right away. It just ruins the whole showing, and you're out the door. So it gives you just the ability to learn how to communicate that to people in a nice way. And then it helps you pick up new buyers, or like I walked in the door with Vivian the last, was it 2 weeks ago, you know, and I gave them some tips that were Lorraine's listing, and there were some things that needed to be done before an open house was probably scheduled. But it teaches you, okay, she didn't know I was gonna walk in the door, and here I am with my client, he's buzzing through there, but that's how he works. So I was like, yeah, he'll be fine, because that's how he likes to look at things. So you should, and what that does is help you meet either new buyers or new sellers. So what we recommend you do is right before the open house, go knock on all your neighbors' doors and say, hey, would you like to choose your new neighbor? Because that's the option they have, right? If they have the right buyer, is how would you like to choose who lives next to you? Who do you know that might be looking at this house? Because I'm having an open house between 11 and 2 today, and I'd love to see them.
Mhm.
You
I
know?
think that would be helpful too, like just what you went over.
Right.
Just kind of a checklist of, the open house, and I know that I've been looking like on the internet and stuff like that, but what I did, so I'm gonna hold an open house on Sunday, so I went and I looked at the house yesterday.
Good.
And, I went through the house and then I provided the feedback to the agent and to the, seller. Just, can you make sure the trash is thrown, the weeds are pulled, the hose is put away, the floors are mopped, and that sort of thing. But I think for me is, like, I feel like I know, but like what you just said, going door to door was helpful, like the verbiage you just provided.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm like, okay, I know I have to go, door knock, and that makes sense, but I'm like, okay, what do I tell them?
Right, because you're so nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like what you said about, do you wanna choose your own neighbor?
I
Right.
think that's
Yeah,
great.
so I think that's helpful, just a checklist of, and provide the verbiage on, here's some example of what you could say.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And hopefully in this class, that's what you're gonna learn, is kind of what I use and the verbiage that I use, and, and there'll always be people that will say no, and in this business, you just gotta get used to it. It's just, it's sales, and it's, a lot of negotiation, so no is just another no until it's a yes. That's the way I look at it.
Is there a more conductive time to do the door knocking for the open house, like in the evenings? Is that a better time to do that, to kind of prep?
I just do it on the Saturday or the Sunday, because I want them to be home. If they're
I
not,
mean, a certain time of day, does it matter?
no,
Okay,
no.
okay, you haven't noticed anything? Okay.
No, and I don't do a ton of open houses anymore, but when I did do them, they had to be looking. The best thing to do is make sure that it's advertised on the internet, because everybody's looking there for their open houses that morning. So
Mhm.
make sure that you do have it on Zillow and Realtor.com. I think you could put it on both. And then, of course, your Facebook page, that kind of thing that says I'm gonna be here. And two, just for safety, think about, don't tell people you're gonna be there by yourself, especially if you're a single woman. So I would just say, our team is here. Nobody knows if you're a team of 1 or a team of 10, so
Right.
just say our team's gonna be here today, or,
Mhm.
we look forward to seeing you, something like that. And then always make sure that you have an out in the house, make sure the back door is unlocked. And then, I carry mace with me, because you don't know who's gonna walk into the house. Hopefully it's never anybody bad, but in these days and times, you just don't know. So just make sure the back door is unlocked, you have another way out of the house. And you should never be walking in front of your clients. You should always be walking behind them, especially downstairs and in that. So what I always do is I just kind of say, okay, go, this is the 2 bedrooms, and I kind of lead them with my arm, especially if I don't know them. If it's an open house, I have no idea who they are. And so I just say, here's the 2, and kind of stay center, because what happens, you're walking in front of them, and if they're going to attack you, they're gonna grab you from behind. And we're people pleasers, that's why we're in the business. We want to make everybody happy, so we're trying to be really accommodating, but just know that, you're at risk. And it's not only females that get attacked, there's been males that have been attacked too at open houses. So just use some safety, kind of think things out. If you find yourself, like I've done it, I'm in front of them, why did I do that kind of thing? I reposition my body to be then behind them. So just, be aware that not everybody's nice, unfortunately, and because that's how we were kind of raised, is that everybody means well, but in these days, I don't think that's true. So just something like that, door knock, we leave little, you don't even have, so new agents always get into, they have to make all these things, or you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I would leave my business card on there and say, I'm having an open house at whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4 Main Street today between 2 and 1, and just leave your business card. If they're not home in the door, my girls create door knockers, which is fine, you know, the little hangers. I'm like a one-on-one, I like to just meet them and then have them come over. And then I always have like a few drinks. I'll have like little bottles of water or a big bag of candy, not chocolate, because the kids will throw it all, they get it all over the carpet, but like candies or whatever, just something small. So what it does is have them kind of stop where you're at, so you can ask any questions, have your color flyers out, the MLS print, just saying this is it, and you know, if you're not working with an agent, I'd love to help you. I can create a search engine. I can show you any house that's listed in Pueblo, in all of Pueblo County. It's just verbiage like that that lets them know, because sometimes in new buyers' minds, they think only the person that lists the house can sell them the house. And really, they don't have representation. If you buy the house from a listing agent, then they're either a seller's agent or a transaction broker. So there's a way to get a buyer to say, well, you probably really don't want to buy from the listing agent. You probably want to have me help you as your advocate. So things like that you can say that will build your business. And don't be afraid to ask them for their phone number and their email. I just say, would you mind if I followed up with you on Monday, you know, to get some feedback on the other open houses that you saw and how we compare to them? Most of them will say yes. If they say no, just say, okay, I really appreciate your time. If you have any questions, here's my card. Feel free to call me. I'd love to help you. And I always say, if I don't know the answer, I'll find out, because a lot of agents don't know the answer.
Right.
So I would be doing that, and then identify and establish relationships with multiple vendors, like mortgage lenders, title companies, inspectors, that type of thing. So have you guys started any of that? Good. Okay. So they're a huge asset to you. So I always say find a title lady, title person you love. Most of ours are women. But because they can answer so many title questions that I'm not a title expert, nor do I ever want to be one. I think that's very boring reading. But you have to know what's the exceptions, what's the requirements of title. I had one yesterday, it's a treasurer's deed, so I called Roxy and said, hey, what do we need to do this? They want me to list the house. What do we need to do to make sure that we're in compliance? We're not gonna have an issue once I find a buyer. You know, and she told us it needed, you know, they needed to apply for a quiet title and get it recorded.
You're selling a property for the city,
No,
on that one?
no, it's not for
You
the
said it's
city.
a treasurer's deed,
Uh-huh.
but it's not for the city.
No, it was an investor that bought all of the tax liens against it.
Oh, I see. So
Yeah.
it's a pool of tax liens.
Yes.
I'm working on a tax lien with that.
Yeah, yep. And I didn't know, you know, I don't know everything, and I'm not gonna tell people I do, but what I did is I saw on the county assessor treasurer's deed, and I knew I had to call Roxy to see what we needed to do for that. And they'll teach you, I mean, and that's why Roxy's my title lady, is when.
Raquel?
Huh?
Raquel Peter?
No, it's Roxy Dace,
Oh, okay.
yeah, over at Capstone, but, Rocky, I like Rocky too, she's awesome. They're all great, we have all great title ladies.
She left.
She's at land.
She's at land now?
Yeah. Mhm. But you want to get a relationship with people like that, because when you have a title question, they do this every day. They're going to walk you through it and tell you what needs to be done, or if there's a requirement, or like a tax lien, child support, IRS lien, things like that. They're going to help you get that cleared up, and they'll teach you where to look. They'll teach you, you know, here's what you need to do. So Roxy's my lady, because when I was first starting out, she answered every single title question I had. When I called, she called me back. She would show me, she would literally say, okay, let's look at this. This is what we're looking at. And for me, I'm very loyal. So she did that to help my business get started. So now that I'm killing it, you know, she gets all of my business. So make those relationships. Same thing with inspectors. You know, you want to have a relationship with them so that you can call them. Sometimes I get inspections and there's all of these things, and I'm thinking they're not a licensed contractor, maybe we should get somebody out there who's licensed, because I've had things be wrong. They've said things that are wrong, and it could kill your deal. So you need to be able to pick up the phone and say, hey, you know, this doesn't look accurate, or we're having questions about this, and if it doesn't look correct, have another agent look at it, and then maybe get a licensed opinion, like a licensed plumber or an electrician or something like that. But they're gonna be great advocates, plus they always know, you know, their friends or families buying or selling. If you're always reaching out to them, they'll do the same for you. And then same with lenders, so I'm not afraid to ask for business. I know I'm busy, but what I always hear is, oh, Jamie, you don't need the business. That's not true. If I'm giving you all of my business, even if I don't get to take them, but one of my buyer's agents do, I would still, like, if they don't have somebody that's working with a realtor, I'd like them to refer to me and ask for it. There's no reason not to ask, because if you're giving them business, they can give you business as well.
How do you do that? You just like
Just say it like.
walk into their building and.
Oh, when I'm in a
introduce
closing or whatever, I'll just say, hey, if you know, I love this closing, it went terrific. If you have anybody, don't forget me. I have plenty of time to work with them, or I'd love to work with one of your people, one of your clients. I call lenders, so what I like to do is I call lenders and just ask what kind of programs they have going on, because every lender is different. And when I first got in this business, I didn't know that. I thought every lender had the same things to offer. I didn't realize that they all had different abilities, like farm and ranch, USDA. Some people are BA experts, some are CHAFA experts, and you gotta know who those people are. And then when you start utilizing them, it's okay to ask for business.
And I plan on getting specialized in military, so.
Yeah, good. So you wanna work with a VA lender for sure.
And I know Diane Van Busker with Loan
Yeah.
Depot. If you go, she prints these out, cause you know you're limited budget-wise, but she prints out and then she'll put what it would be, the loan programs and what their payment would be for,
That's helpful.
Yeah.
and so,
Who's
yeah,
that?
you go down there at Loan Depot.
Yeah.
And
And
you
all
can
the
take this
lenders
one.
will do that for you.
Okay, so I don't know other lenders that have offered it, but,
Yeah,
so I will check.
ask them.
So
Here's the
if
problem
I
with
was
lenders, they're
I'm
too
sorry.
busy.
If
Yeah,
I
she'll
was
do open house flyers, yeah.
Mhm.
There's her place.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think down here. In touch with her, yeah.
Yeah. Crystal Bunning does that too. I don't know if you guys have ever worked with Crystal. She's amazing. So I like Crystal because she's a lot like me.
Is
I
she
know.
in the Springs?
No, she's just down the street.
Oh, okay.
She's actually right over here on Baltimore, with, Crystal. I can't remember the name of her company, but awesome, awesome, awesome. So they actually run them through underwriting, so you know that your buyer's qualified. It's not just a pre-qual, they're ran through underwriting. So when she says she can get them done, she can get them done, and usually she closes early.
Oh, wow.
She's awesome, but she's very nice, but she's very direct like I am, and so that works good with our personalities, because I like to get to the
Right.
point and get going. So she's amazing, and I know she'll do those flyers as well.
And you said Bunting is?
Bunting, it's, I'll give you her number.
That'd be great.
Thanks, Lorraine.
Thank you, Jamie, for all this.
You're welcome. I hope it's a closing you're leaving for.
Lorraine, have a good weekend.
Let's see. So Crystal. So her office number is 225-1259,
Okay, thank you.
and that's 719. But she's right over here, and she's great. Their products are amazing too. Like when we have a loan, I know we're gonna be cold.
Okay.
So she's awesome. There's a lot of great lenders. Diane's a great lender. Her husband Russ works out in Pueblo West. He's good. Tammy and Judy at Premier. So I like Premier too because they have their own underwriting department in-house. So if you have something that's gonna need attention, like tough deals, it's nice because they're right there. So you're not calling an underwriter in Denver waiting for a call back. They'll literally walk to the back office and say, look, here's what's going on with this deal. What do we need to do to make it work?
Right.
So they've been really amazing. They've done They do a lot of our loans. They've done 3 or 4 of our own investments. They're amazing and they get them done. Who else? Susie and Ent. So if you have people who want to keep their loan, they don't want it to be sold, and there's a lot of people like that. They want to know who I'm going to pay and when I'm going to pay them. Susie and Ent's amazing. You close on time. She gets it done. They have great rates. Just there's a lot of great people out there. Just get to know them and build
The
a
more you
relationship.
work with them, you'll understand their strengths.
You do, absolutely, yeah. And they know mine. They know don't call and talk to me for 20 minutes like that. That for me, it gives me anxiety because I have so much to get done. But if you're that way, that's how they'll be with you. They're gonna walk you through it, so.
Okay.
And you can learn a lot from them. I mean, when I have questions about lending that people ask me and I have no idea, like yesterday I called Tammy over at Premier and said, okay, how much would I have to make to buy a $900,000 house? And she gave me the number because I have a $900,000 listing, so my advertising is going out to those people that make that income. There's no reason for me to advertise for people that can't afford the listing. So just something like that. I've never bought a $900,000 house, so I wouldn't have any idea what you need to make. But she told me the number, and then, so use them. They're a knowledge of wealth, or wealth of knowledge. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, rough morning.
No, it's good.
And then the number of leads, so you guys really need to monitor that and what your conversion rate is. So we were just talking about this in our meeting yesterday. I need to know, so for me, we break down everything in leads like Zillow, Realtor.com, sphere of influence, past client, sign calls, things like that, because I need to know where they're coming from, because where is my advertising money really working? And so we can see, okay, so I got 100 leads from Zillow, let's say. If I only converted 1 or 2, it may not be worth what I'm paying Zillow. And if I'm getting, 100 from sign calls, maybe I need to work on more sellers, put more signs in the yard. So that's why you need to know what your conversion rate is. And then what I like to do is say, okay, we have these 5 people that we lost. Why? Why did we lose them? Were we too busy? Did our personalities maybe not work out? Did their lender tell them to go to another agent? We didn't have buyer's agency agreement, and you've been working with them for 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm as guilty. I should write the buyer agency a lot earlier, but you'll get burned a couple of times, and then you'll realize I should get that in writing right away if I'm going to spend every weekend showing them houses.
It took me one time, I figured that one out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the first thing. Meet me at the office, got some papers to sign, we'll go with whatever you want.
Awesome.
Well, like, are you working with somebody else? That sparked me.
Yeah, I do that and they say no, and then I spend every weekend. So the last time that happened, I spent 6 weekends in a row because that's the only time these people could look at houses in the summer.
Right?
And I missed all the stuff with my family,
Oh.
and they ended up going to another agent, one house, and bought the house that I showed them.
Oh, jeez.
Yes. Mhm.
Well, I showed up and I was showing her this house, and she's like, oh, I got to talking to her,
Mhm.
and she says, well, I'm telling her what I can do, and she says, well, this is for my daughter. I'm like, oh, okay. And her agent, and I said, oh, so you're already working with an agent? Or she is? Well, yeah, but he's in Denver, and he didn't want to come down.
Right. That's most of them. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I'm actually doing his job,
Yeah.
And she's like, well, yeah, but he doesn't mind. And I said, yeah, I bet he doesn't
Yeah,
mind.
because he's gonna get a paycheck, yeah.
So that's,
Mhm.
yeah.
And we do have a lot of agents call and say, well, you're a team, can't somebody show them?
That's
No.
what she was trying to say.
Yeah, well, to me, for one, they should have, if they have a buyer's agent, the buyer should be representing their best interest, and by not coming down to see what they're buying is not representing their best interest.
Well, I just told her, I said, he's not doing his job.
Right.
I don't
He's
mean
not
to be
doing-
rude. I'm not
But the
trying
way
to be
you
rude.
need to say it is, he's not doing the best that he could for you.
Very good. Yeah.
Because because what they're hearing is you're mad because you're wasting your time.
Uh-huh.
But what you want them to say is, oh, I hope he knows soils, I hope he knows water. Pueblo's much different than Denver. We don't have one municipal water. We don't have one, not everything's on sewer out here.
Yeah, but then she started saying, well, what are they? You know, she wants the information
Yeah,
for
no,
me,
then what you
because
say
he's
is,
not,
then what you say is really, that's why you should be working with a local agent. So if you haven't signed a buyer's agency agreement and you'd like to work with me, I'd be happy to educate you. And you leave it there and go on, because it's not your job to educate her, it's his
Right.
job,
right,
yeah. So some of it is kind of tough love,
yeah,
but you know what, a lot of times they're like, well, we haven't signed an agency agreement and we didn't realize there was all these different things that are going on. Pueblo is unique. When
Mhm.
people come from Springs or Denver, I'm like, we have different soils, we have 4 or 5 different water sources, we have ditch rights, we have septic someplace and sewer someplace else, we have expansive soils. I mean, there is a lot of things you have to know about
Very.
the local area. Yeah, and you should try and learn them all the time, but that's what I do. And they're working with another agent, I'm out of there. I just, you know, and they, a lot of times they will not quite tell you the truth because
Well,
that's
yeah,
what their
because-
agent tells them.
Because she wanted me to go ahead and follow through with
Yeah.
her.
Mhm.
And, yeah, only when I was at the house and she was actually seeing the house was she honest that,
Right,
you know.
yeah. But that's when you say, well, they haven't signed an agreement, you know, you should really think about somebody local. We know the marketplace.
Yeah.
I don't know Denver's marketplace. I couldn't sell a house in Denver. I could luck out and sell one, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't want the liability afterwards if you told somebody the wrong thing.
Right.
So that's the 60-day goals. We need to get you hooked up. We need to go downstairs and make sure you can get into your back door. And if you guys are having problems or things like that, text me and I'll start writing a list with, so when Tony and I meet, sometimes we meet maybe once a month, sometimes a couple times if we're both not really busy, but you know, we want to help you guys be successful, and especially the ones of you that are here consistently, you call me because I'm always willing to help you. It's the ones that don't come and then they call me and they want to spend 45 minutes of my time doing that, but they won't give me 45 minutes of their time, so that's important to me. So if you have questions, ask. And we're going through a little bit of growing pains, but it's only gonna get better, so that's the good news, is
Well,
we've got
this is so
some.
much better than other places already.
Oh, yeah, it's,
So-
you have no idea how lucky you are that you
Yeah.
have all these things at your hands, it's just
We've got people
amazing.
willing to take the time with us.
You have so many tools too
Yeah.
with KW, it's
Yeah.
amazing, and
Yeah.
they're all about learning.
It's amazing.
Another broker, I was telling him about the class,
Uh-huh.
and I was so excited, he was like, do you think I could just sneak in the back door and go and attend her class? I was like, no, I don't think so.
How cute.
You're not part of KW.
I told another friend too, he's taking his license, and I said, you need to get in KW.
Yeah,
You need to learn, you need to get your base done right.
right,
And then if you get stud muffin and really great, you wanna go off and branch, go,
yeah.
right? But you learn here.
Yeah, the different thing is too is, so we always looked at it as KW is the learning, but what I found out in my career is why would I not want to be learning all the time? So I've been to Remax, I've been their top agent, top producer, and I like Remax, a lot of great people there, a lot of
That's
people
good.
with a lot of experience. But what I found out is we weren't learning, we were stagnant, and for me, I don't ever want to be stagnant. I always want to be the leader of the pack. I want to know things. I want to get out. It makes me excited to be in this business when we learn new things. And our industry is changing every day with the internet. I mean, before you never even thought, how would people see houses without an agent?
Right.
So this industry is, we are on a brink of a huge change, and I think it'll occur in the next 5 to 6 years of how the market's going to work. So they're trying to get a national MLS, and I don't think agents realize how they're looking maybe on how they could sell anywhere, but what you have to look at is, big companies, lenders, that type of thing, why would they not just put in an hourly agent if they have national access, pay them $30,000 a year, and let them list all the houses? And there'll be agents that will do it. There'll be
Sure.
agents that will, because they're gonna work 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, make a living and have all the holidays and weekends off and have health insurance. But do they know? I don't know Florida's conditions. Why would I sell in Florida? But that's really kind of what the internet's moving towards. And so the way that you're gonna keep your business healthy and growing is you've got to be the expert in that marketplace, because that's really what people want. They wanna be educated, and you need to be an educator.
So you think referrals are gonna be great, it just expand greatly? What I mean by that is that the Ellie that's pushing right now, which is referrals in Florida, you know.
Well, what he's trying to do is basically keep us all knowing each other and in-house, definitely, because what I'm more worried about is not other agents, it's gonna be big business. Because if they can eliminate us, there's more money for the bank to make, or more money for the consumer to make. But without the education, they don't know what they're getting into. So they think someday, which I'm sure will happen, is they'll just buy houses basically sight unseen. But in real estate, you need the relationship and you need the education, because nobody can know all the soils. I mean, there's just too many variables in areas. But you want to be changing with the times. I don't believe in a national MLS. I vote against it all the time, and we can have it on record. I don't care, because I say it in all of our board meetings. But I really think you need a local expert to help you through this process. We have a 19-page contract that half the time they are deer in the headlight look. They have no idea what you just told them. And when they finally recover and you're going through the contract, you need to know, okay, this is our inspection objection. This is how this is gonna work. The inspection resolution is how they're gonna respond to us. Here's their options. Yes, we'll do it. No, we won't. We'll do half of it, but you do the other half. Here's $500. You do it when you move in.
Mm-hmm.
So all those things they're not going to go away. Somebody's gonna need to handle that, but you have to know your marketplace better than anybody else. That's what I believe.
Well, and I've been all over the US, and people don't realize just how different
It is different.
the US is. You go to Tennessee and they're like, oh my gosh, that mountain over there, and you're like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't
It's a
see
hill.
a mountain, but they think those little rolly hills are mountains,
Yeah.
you know? And if you don't know that and you've never been to that part of the country, how are you gonna tell them that, you know, there's this giant mountain? But, you know, people don't understand that the US is so vastly different.
Yes.
And you're talking just even in their own states, like Denver is so more mountainous than Pueblo.
Right. Yes, definitely. We're high prairie.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the other thing too, bringing that up, is, you know, there's escrow states where pay at the table. Try working with an agent that works in an escrow state. They have no deadlines, no dates and deadlines, and the title company orders all the inspections. So for me, I'm freaked out, because I'm like, we don't have a deadline for an inspection. And they're like, no, in the next 15 days.
Whoa.
And then I'm like, okay, well, who orders that? The title company orders it. And I'm thinking, if they're as busy as our title companies, is that ever gonna get done? So I've done one in California with another agent, and when I read the contract, I was like, there's really no dates and deadlines. It's just gonna close between like this estimated period. So Colorado has probably the longest one, because it's written by attorneys, but very detailed. We're very blessed that, you know, we do have the dates and deadlines that we do. It's not an escrow state.
Tries to keep it on target.
It really does, yeah, and we're very organized. But you send our contract to somebody, I sent one of ours to Florida, she flipped out. And then she was like, I wish we were this organized, because it would relieve some of the stress for the buyer and the seller.
Mhm.
So everything's a little different, but you need to be changing with the times. Like you guys, or younger people, you're all apps related. Like my kid doesn't even watch. He says he doesn't need cable because he streams everything. For us, I'm thinking I could never live without the TV. Like I don't know what we do without cable. So the times are changing, and you want to know how to communicate to that generation. And so when I go on listing appointments or I work with buyers, I'm like, what's the best way to communicate to you? Because I'm a phone call. I like phone calls. I like to get it done really quick. But I also like a text message, so if I need to call you back, I won't forget. I'll lock you, and then I'll call you back. I don't unlock my messages until I make sure it's done. But I have people, they wanna come in and they wanna meet with me, so we know with that client, we get something in, you need to schedule them into my schedule. So
Yeah.
just make sure you ask, cause everybody's different. And I don't mind texting, I just don't love it when it starts
Yeah.
getting this long,
Not
I'm
very
like,
personal.
call me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do this in a minute instead of me trying to read this, so,
Yeah.
I had one question before we end.
okay.
You say to, know the market, and you talk about like the different soils and stuff. Where can we, educate ourselves on the different water, sewer and everything? Just the
I
internet?
call it baptism by fire. So as you start doing more of these deals, you're gonna know. So like St. Charles Mesa is their water, or their, it could be Avondale water, it depends on the street. You'll know that sewer stops at 21st Lane. So I think it's just the more deals that I did, the more, because you have to do the due diligence, you're looking for those people or asking. You know, sometimes, there's a little area right there by Baxter Road that is O'Neill water, but St. Charles Mesa just bought them. But for the longest time,
Oh, I didn't know they bought them.
yeah, there was, yeah, I think they took them over.
That's great.
You didn't know who the water was. You literally had to call the seller, say, who's your water source, da-da-da, and get their information. And I didn't know that when I first started out, because unlike the Mesa's the Mesa, I thought it was all St. Charles Mesa, and it wasn't. So, and then just really ask, because you'll get more. So I think when you're doing contracts, you should be asking experienced agents, or when you get that over, you get their disclosures, you know, make sure you're looking at the water source and who that is, and that's how you learn. And then we save all the covenants when it comes in, so if we get a deal that has a protective covenant, we save those covenants under the area. So like if it's Ventana, when it comes in the title work, we'll save the covenant and put Ventana, so that we could go back to it. But it's just, a lot of it's just trying to learn. So expansive soils is gonna be all of the north side, and that's, you'll see that like in Walking Stick and, University.
You know, Jamie, it might be great if we had some classes on expansive soils. If we
Yeah.
could get some kind of general information on, is that possible?
I don't know who would teach that, I don't know, so we'll never get a structural engineer in here, cause they're too busy. Maybe you could get a contractor in here to talk about that. And some of my experience is because I was building, so I was working with them hand on hand.
If my dad ever comes into town, he's always done a lot with, dirt work.
Yeah.
I'll let you know, and I'm sure you can sit down and
Yeah,
pick
that
his
would be
brain.
great, because
Yeah.
we were
'Cause
just
he's
out there
really-
looking at, I think the Vistas, and they were talking about how, you know, the
She said
lots,
something about the
the
soil.
X amount, but then they treat and they give, what, 20,000 for,
She said to count on another 30,000 because something has to be done to the soil.
right.
Yeah,
That's
they
what-
You know, it
gotta
would
dig
be-
it out and put it back in, yeah.
Yeah, it would be interesting to really, well, see,
Yeah.
what did you just say?
Yeah,
You know, I don't know, I know they do something,
right.
but,
Maybe the
obviously not everybody
contractors,
does that,
like
right?
the contractors that you know that are building out there,
Right.
maybe you could call them and just question them.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, and I always tell you guys to visit job sites too, like if you know a local contractor, just kinda
You know what,
go
they're
out.
really nice too, like I've stopped by and just picked their brains, and
Mhm.
they'll stop and chat with you,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't go out there in heels, because it's really hard to walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
When you're showing houses, try not to wear heels, that's what I've learned. And then watch the process be done, because, you know, there's gonna be they're gonna dig out the foundation, they're gonna pour the foundation walls, you could see if they're doing a perimeter drain. But all of that stuff is, when you're watching those job sites, it's pretty interesting, and it's 3 or 4 months, it's not a huge process, and you stop by once a week. And when you're working with new buyers that are gonna do a new construction, you should probably be driving by the job site anyways, at least once a week, to kind of see what's going on.